Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Topping our newscast, Governor Jongh submitted his fiscal year 2015 budget to the legislature on Monday. The operations spending plan cuts more than $50 million from the current fiscal year's budget. And on Tuesday, the executive chief made the rounds to talk about his spending plan. News 2's Erica Parsons has that story.
Governor Jongh is proposing a spending plan he says will start fiscal year 2015 on firmer footing. On Tuesday, he was on former Senator Holland Redfield's talk show discussing the new budget.
What we're going to do is send down in the 15 budget. We're going to cut as much as we possibly can, but because we have survived on borrowings and our revenues are not increasing, we have to fill a gap. We have to fill a $57 million number.
The executive branch's budget has to address a gap of about $160 million. The general fund's operating budget proposal for fiscal year 2015 is roughly $710 million, nearly $52 million less than last year's. To do that, the executive branch cut 4% from almost every department and agency's allotment. The budget is also based on anticipated revenues of almost $580 million from taxes and other expected income of almost $595 million. The administration says much of those anticipated revenues is based on them continuing their aggressive plan of collecting past due taxes. The chief executive is also continuing to fill general fund vacancies only when absolutely necessary. They've eliminated programs and services that can't be sustained and streamlined processes to cut costs. But the government is losing nearly $54 million in transfers to the general fund from lost rum revenues. To address the overall budget shortfall, the governor's team recommended revenue-generating initiatives, establishing 6 furlough days, changing the employee health insurance ratio, and using part of the settlement monies from the Red Mud case to give to the general fund. 2014's budget remained unbalanced after being sent to the Senate for approval, and the governor hopes the two branches can meet in the middle to fix the deficit.
We met with them over 8 or 9 times. It's when we finally got to May, middle of May, our budget was almost ready, and I said, this is ridiculous. I'm getting ready to send down a fiscal year 15 budget. We've not dealt with fiscal year 14, and so I'm setting a foundation for 15 when I don't even know where we're ending on 14. I'm not going to do that. And that's when I made the determination after our analysis, I'll go for the borrowing. I'm not in this to build my ego. I'm in this to find a consensus and find a solution. So let's meet. There's some things you're not going to like I propose. There's some things I'm not going to like you propose. But we'll come to some agreement.
Erica Parsons, News 2.
The total proposed budget for 2015, including the general fund, is $1.1 billion. Meanwhile, members of the 30th Legislature's Finance Committee, chaired by Senator Clifford Graham, as well as other senators who were not members of the Finance Committee, also got a chance to scrutinize the administration's budget proposal. The governor's financial team was at the legislature Tuesday addressing concerns on the budget. News 2's April Knight brings details on those concerns.
Even as Governor Jongh was defending his 2015 budget over the radio on Tuesday, his financial team was doing the same thing in Senate chambers, getting grilled by a legislature often at odds with the administration.
There was definitely friction on several issues, including the governor submitting his budget late, but one major point in dispute was the question, is the governor's budget balanced or not? The OMB director thinks so. The Senate's post auditor disagrees.
Director Gottlieb, is this a balanced budget?
Yes.
From my technical perspective, no.
On the subject of reconciling money coming in with money going out, both sides looked at money the territory is not getting, like tax breaks for RT Park tenants that might not be qualified.
The director of the RT Park, David Zamwart, said for fiscal year 2013, the entities in the RT Park grossed $160 million, which is off the tax rolls.
And money that the territory might not get in the future, like the additional 21% of rum cover-over that might soon go to local rum brands.
We're now being confronted with the question of giving more subsidies to cruise and rum. If we give, and we continue to give, do we give into a black hole?
No, you're not giving into a black hole.
And then there's legislation that would cost money to implement, but for which there's no funding, like the new school calendar.
So if
The teachers work this extra time. Would you pay them for extra time work?
There are no funds for us to allot to implement the changes to the school calendar. There's no appropriation to support it.
The governor's budget is far from being approved, and Tuesday's Senate hearing seems only the beginning of a back and forth between Senate and Government House until an agreeable budget is hammered out. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
The discussion between the governor's financial team and the Senate Finance Committee continued beyond news time. News 2 will keep you updated on the movement of the governor's budget proposal. Delegate to Congress Donna Christensen said today that the General Accounting Office report that she requested to analyze whether or not the Coast Guard was deploying sufficient assets to the Virgin Islands, that was released on Monday. The report, which was also requested by Puerto Rico resident Commissioner Pedro Perlusi and Congressman Nick Rahal and John Micah, confirmed that the Coast Guard had not met its performance targets for several years, but is now in the process of adding new resources. Congresswoman Christensen said, "We have insisted that there be a Caribbean border strategy to equal what is done on the southwest border. Drug interdiction operations for the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico more than tripled from fiscal year 2009 to fiscal year 2013, according to data." A shootout in the area of Diaz last Saturday night, the housing community left 3 people wounded, according to reports. Multiple shots were discharged around 10:30 p.m. Officers called in arrived on the scene to find 3 people with gunshot injuries. All 3 victims were transported by ambulance to the Governor Juan Luis Hospital and Medical Center for treatment. Witnesses at the hospital reported a large crowd gathering at the hospital, which prompted police officials to increase security measures. Police continue to investigate. We'll keep you updated. Meanwhile, it's reports like these that prompted the Smith Bay Community Action Foundation to take a stance. The group was formed 3 years ago to come up with neighborhood anti-crime initiatives. And tonight, beginning at 7 until around 9 p.m., they are holding a community forum at the Sunray Lounge. Police, Crime Stoppers, and Project Safe reps are expected to be in attendance. They're encouraging everyone to come out to share ideas and concerns because they say it's time to take back the community.
There's a lot happening on the island, and we started this, the Smith Bay Community Action Foundation to not complain about what's happening, but also not only to complain, but also to start an action forum where we can begin to see things happening in a positive light. And so this evening what we've done is we put together a sort of a forum, but more of an action unit group who can come in and we can discuss some of the concerns we have and also come up with solutions that would help us to address those concerns. Even though it's sponsored by the Smith Bay Community Action Foundation, we are encouraging some of our neighboring friends and others from other communities to come in because what affects us also affects other communities here in the islands.
The USVI Hotel and Tourism Association's 21st Annual Destination Symposium has kicked off at the Marriott Frenchman's Reef. This year, they are celebrating with the theme, Change Your Latitude. Representatives from several of the top travel companies are gathering for the 5-day conference to meet with on-island travel partners and to discuss new products, review current products, and more. Not only does the symposium allow wholesalers to learn more about what we in the VI have to offer, but it also gives local businesses a chance to show off their products and services. Meetings kicked off June 17th with USVI Department of Tourism Commissioner Beverly Nicholson Doty giving a marketing and public relations update, followed by business appointment sessions. We're turning our attention overseas. One of the suspected ringleaders of the deadly attack on U.S. mission in Benghazi is now in U.S. custody. It's the first time the U.S. has captured any of the alleged perpetrators of the 2012 attack that killed 4 Americans and set off a political firestorm. Craig Boswell has more from Washington.
U.S. Special Forces captured a senior leader of a Libyan terror group suspected in the deadly attack on the U.S. mission in Benghazi. During a stop in Pittsburgh, the president said the arrest sends a message to the world.
When Americans are attacked, no matter how long it takes, we will find those responsible.
On September 11, 2012, militants attacked the U.S. mission in Benghazi, killing Ambassador Chris Stevens and 3 other Americans. The Pentagon says the suspect, Ahmed Abu Khattala, is a senior leader of the terror group Ansar al-Sharia. Special ops captured him during a planned raid Sunday.
He is in U.S. custody in a secure location outside Libya, and that's as far as I'm going to go.
Khattala is expected to be tried here at U.S. District Court in Washington. Right now he faces 3 criminal counts and more could be added. First, he's being interrogated on a ship, and several Republican lawmakers want that to be the priority.
The most valuable thing we can get from this terrorist is information.
Republicans have long claimed the Obama administration misled the public about the attack and have launched a special investigation.
Meanwhile, keeping our eye on the economy, General Motors is recalling more than 3.1 million additional cars with ignition switch problems. The recall involves numerous models made from 2000 to 2014, including some Cadillac, DeVille's, Chevy Impalas, and Buick Regals. It has been more than 4 months since the automaker first recalled 2.6 million cars for faulty ignition switches. The company has repaired only 7% of those vehicles. Here's the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. Everything up, the Dow 27, NASDAQ 16, S&P 4. Coming up on News 2, if you're trying to figure out what you can do this summer to avoid some boredom, we've got you covered. Tune in to our newscast for summer fun. We will share some ideas on camps you can sign up for, attractions for the entire family, and much more. We'll be right back. A student and parent orientation session for St. Croix Jr University began today at the University of the Virgin Islands. The 5-week summer academic and enrichment program is designed to serve about 50 7th grade male students who will attend English, mathematics, language arts, and vocational classes. According to Hansen, students were selected from Elena Christian, John H. Woodson, and Arthur A. Richards Junior High School to participate in the joint project of the VI Department of Education and the University of the Virgin Islands. Classes will be held at UVI's campus from Monday, June 23rd to Friday, July 25th. And you can contact Ms. Hansen, and that number is 773-1095, extension 7057 for more information. Well, if you're trying to figure out what you can do this summer, we've got you covered. Be sure to tune in on our newscast for summer fun. We will share some ideas on camps you can sign up for, attractions, and much, much more. Well, starting off tonight, first, why not come home to St. Croix for 2014? The annual Come Home to St. Croix event is a week-long celebration of culture, history, and family connections. The summer program is hosted by the St. Croix Landmarks Society and features all the things that make St. Croix stand out for its rich traditions. This is the 4th year the event will be held, and it will open with a ceremony to honor St. Croix's ancestors at the Wynn Museum. This year will feature an exhibit on St. Croix's horse racing tradition and a pilot workshop called Solving the Puzzle of Kinship. The events begin July 13th. You'll also want to mark on your calendar the annual Mango Melee. The Tropical Fruit Festival celebrates all things mango. It features more than 80 varieties of the fruit, as well as over 30 other types of fruits grown right on St. Croix. So be sure to mark that on your calendar for July 6th at the St. George Village Botanical Garden. A Taste of St. Croix committee announces that the official 2014 Winners Cook-Off is this Thursday, June 19th, 11 a.m. at Rich to Reach Reef Farm. You are invited to meet the winning chefs, cooks of the 2014 A Taste of St. Croix. You are also invited to view the Winners Cook-Off competition, as this year's winners will compete for the honor of traveling with the VI culinary team to Miami, Florida this summer. The VI culinary team will be traveling to Miami to compete in the annual Taste of the Caribbean competition. Now, this event is an invitation-only event. You can call 690-2424 for more information. Senator Alicia Chucky Hansen's office is coordinating this year's Noche de Sang One. Hansen said her heart was touched after learning of the dire need for a double lung transplant patient who needs $25,000 to save her life. She said as a part of this year's observance planned for June 23rd, her office plans on raising funds to assist Miss Agnes Alexander, Mrs. Mary Abbott, and Father Abbott's daughter. The event is a cultural celebration of Hispanic origin where people participate in a ritual of entering the sea at midnight. The practice is known as cleansing and brings good luck. Mamba Duro of Puerto Rico along with La Fueza of St. Croix will be providing the entertainment. That's from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. at Altoona Lagoon in Christiansted. Well, looking ahead to some of the events shaping up for St. John Festival, a festival music mix is planned on Friday at 9 p.m. in the Winston Wells Ball Field in Cruz Bay. Then, of course, mark that on your calendar, 6 young ladies will be vying for Miss St. John 2014. That's on Saturday, June 21st, back at the Winston Wells Ballpark. Music will be by Poison Band. It all begins at 8 p.m. It's presented by the St. John Festival and Cultural Organization. And then Sunday, the 22nd, the Queen and the Fair honoree will join together to kick off the food fair at the Franklin Powell Park in Cruz Bay. Festivities, the festival boat races take place on the same day. Some of the speediest boats in the island compete in the Cruz Bay Harbor. Then the Children's Village, that's scheduled to open on July 1st, and we will have a preview of all the events for Festival 2014 later this week. 12 strong swimmers spent Father's Day on Sunday fighting the current during the 4th annual Sapphire Beach to Shark Island Swim. Now, members of the Environmental Association of St. Thomas and some from the public shared their adventure and how, in spite of very strong current, they could not help but appreciate the great outdoors.
Last year, the governor had made a proclamation through the Senate for a great outdoors month. So we're the first in the Caribbean supporting this action. One of the major events is tied into, related to getting outdoors, enjoying nature, and knowing beauty. The coral out there is phenomenal, phenomenal.
Congrats to all the participants. The Caribbean Fishery Management Council is having meetings in the territory next week. The council is looking at potential changes to the federal fisheries in the territory, and they want the public to weigh in during the meetings. On St. Thomas, the meeting is going to be held on Monday, June 23rd from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Windward Passage Hotel. On St. Croix, the meeting will be held the following day, Tuesday, June 24th, also from 7 to 10 p.m. at the Buccaneer Hotel. For more information, you can visit www.caribbeanfmc.com. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.